Hi, everyone. This is my final speech, so I'll just try to get right to the point. Um, I'm not going to sit here and tell you all that I played like this loyal, honest game because that's not what I did. Coming into this game, I at first just wanted to like feel everyone out, get a sense of who I could trust, of who I felt good with, who I felt comfortable talking to, and kind of go from there. Pretty early on, I felt really good with Jesse and Curtis. Um, and if you were to look at all of my alliances in this game, it started with Sausage Party with me, Jesse, Curtis, um, Chrissy, Michael, and Gigi. I was in Core Horrors with Jesse and Curtis. I was in Puff Puff Pass with Jesse, Curtis, and Puffin, and I was in the Bad Boys for Life with Jesse, Curtis, and Chris C. So obviously Jesse and Curtis were the common denominators in all of those alliances, and that was purposely on my end. That was very deliberate because I didn't feel like there was a need to make any other alliances without Jesse and Curtis because I was getting all the information from them. They were telling me I knew about Chris K's Angels and about the alliance that they were in with Chrissy and KT, and with Jesse being in an alliance with Todrick and KT. So I knew about all of those alliances. So I was able to get all this information without having to actually be in those alliances. And I found it pointless to me to even try to be in other alliances without them because it would just cause me to be like, if I was to get HOH, it would just cause me to be in a more sticky situation and causing me to have to burn someone that I was working with. So instead, I let Jesse and Curtis do that, and they were telling me all of it. I was getting all the information without having to like get my hands dirty in those other alliances. So that really benefited me, and it also allowed me to purposely like be seen as a lesser threat in that three because I was playing a much more passive role, and I'm not in any other alliances, so I wanted Jesse and Curtis to want to go to the end with me versus with each other in case if we did get to the end as us three. And it also allowed me to use that against Jesse and Curtis and to kind of paint them as being, the big threats to worry about in the game and being closer. Because I knew that like people knew that me and Curtis were friends. So I kind of wanted to push that away from like me and Curtis and push it on Curtis and Jesse. And getting deeper in the game, I planted seeds about Jesse and Curtis and how they should be the ones, they should be the next targets rather than myself, or they should be targeted before me, to try to make sure that all of my bases were covered. So I was planting those seeds with Puffin and Chrissy and even subtly like KT. And I think that strengthened my relationships with Puffin and Chrissy, because it showed that I was kind of vulnerable. At least that's what I wanted to make it seem, like I was on the outs of everything, like I didn't know what was going on when I really did. But I just wanted to make sure that my bases were always covered and that I would be safe no matter what. And I think I successfully did that and made sure that I was positioned well in this game, from beginning to end. And so yeah, I never got HOH until Final 7. So I had to rely on those alliances and those connections, and on my social game rather than like getting lucky. So and I was vulnerable at times, like I was on the block, but I always felt like I was good, and I was good. I always made sure that I had people backing me up. I always made sure that I was covered. So every time that I was on the block, I didn't get a single vote to evict. So I think that does speak for how I positioned myself in this game. It was very strategic. I let Jesse and Curtis, take the heat with certain things because they were in those other alliances that I didn't have to be, but I could still, have good individual relationships with those people for the most part. Um, so yeah. And another thing is that I was also trying to always trying to plant seeds within Jesse and Curtis, like letting Jesse know that, Curtis cut me in the last org that we played. I want to get revenge. I was really trying to put that in people's heads. So they knew, or so they felt better with me. And I especially tried to work on that with Jesse, and to take that. And honestly, I also, when I made the shot to evict Curtis, like I was purposely making it seem like I wanted to go to the end with Jesse, so that he felt good with me, and it definitely helped that he was also on board. I had the talk with Jesse. I reached out to him and told him that I was like gonna evict Curtis, and he was on board for that. So that kind of helped me too, make it a little bit better for me moving forward, because I was worried that Jesse would have been mad, because I did feel like Jesse and Curtis were closer. Um, so so yeah. And then I also had a final two deal with Chris pretty early on as well. And I know I didn't play this honest game. I know I lied to people, aka like Curtis. I had a final two with Curtis, and Curtis thought that I was gonna bring him to the end, and I ended up cutting him. So I know I didn't play this honest, loyal game, but I was intending to stay true with my final two with Chris, because that also really helped me in this game, because I felt like I had a strong relationship with Chris, and I felt like I had that over Curtis, and maybe Jesse. And I wanted to do that to position myself so that regardless of who it was, they would want to bring me to the end over anyone else. So that's why I was always downplaying my game, always making it seem like everyone else were much bigger threats than me. And I think it really helped me get to the end here. Yes, I bombed the final HOH. I was not great at the competitions, um, but I didn't have to be. I really relied on how I presented my game, how I presented myself in this game, who I aligned with, and just trying to be nice and friendly, and just build those social relationships gradually throughout the game. And I think I successfully did that. So, yeah, that's kind of the game that I played. I know it's not the most dominant or loyal game, but it was very strategic and very deliberate. Everything that I did was to position myself to get myself here. I tried to be as deceptive as I can with people, and to only give so much, while I was getting so much information mainly from Jesse and Curtis, but also from the other alliances that I was in. But like I said, I wasn't in a single alliance without Jesse and Curtis, and that was very strategic of me, because I used them as my shield in this game, and to also a way to make them kind of throw them under the bus. So, yeah, I mean, I'm not proud of some of the things that I did in this game, mostly cutting Curtis, because we are like real friends, but I did feel like it was what I needed to do. I wanted to take that shot, and I didn't want to miss it. So, yeah, I mean, there was always times where I was trying to consider every possible option, and I felt like I played my cards right and got myself here through how I played. I really think that I know my game might not be seen as very strong, and it might be seen that my only move was getting Curtis out, if you even look at that as being a good move or not. But um, I really feel like through my social position in the game and making sure that I was always positioned well and kind of navigating through that. Um, I didn't have to play this game where I had to be in alliances with everyone. I felt like I didn't have to do that because of the cards that I played and who I was already aligning with and what all the information that I was already getting. It's just a game that I didn't have to play, and I used everything to my advantage, and I think it helped me get all the way to the end here. So yeah, I hope that you all can respect the game that I played and understand it at least. And yeah, regardless, it was a very good experience getting to know all of you, playing with all of you. And thank you so much to everyone involved in making this game. And thank you for letting me play. And yeah, that's all I got. So thank you very much, everyone.